I'm like high energy and I'm like prone to anxiety too, like just for no reason, but like also for specific things. So like I use cannabis to like prepare myself for like things.
I hear you.
Right.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's like a reverse effect almost. Like it's
Exactly. It's very grounding. The indica is very grounding for me. So
yeah.
I like
See,
Okay.
but I feel like that's what it's all about, like knowing your intent behind your usage. I think that's what it all comes down to, like knowing why you're smoking and what you need to smoke to like help you achieve that. So, it's all different for everybody.
I hear you.
yes. I
And on
agree.
that note, I'm gonna lead in. We are on the podcast. Like I just went ahead and started it. I
I
used to
saw
so,
Oh,
that.
so what I okay,
yay!
okay. I'm gonna lead in. I'm gonna just give you a little bit. So this is what I used to do on Why So Nerdy when I started it. We would just be talking and I would just start it up. So like for us, it was something that I took from our previous podcast. I don't think I've ever told you, Bree. But yeah, this is just what I used to do. So it ends up giving conversation, maybe, or we
I
say
love
something
that.
funny a lot of time. But yes, welcome to the Ohio TV podcast. I am Will Baldwin, one of your hosts. This is Bree, the Ebony Empress, the other host, and then our guest, Miss Monet Fontaine. She is a dancer.
Yay.
Got her master's degree in cannabis research. She works at a lab. She's do it all, y'all. She's the advocate of what is it, the cannabis babe,
Yes.
all bro. It just does it all. So we're gonna talk to her today and actually get in and dig in and learn about it and see, get some questions about it and see what's up.
Yes, indeed. Thank y'all so much for having me. It is so dope, no pun intended, to just be a part of this all the way from Maryland. It's just the power of the community and the internet. So I appreciate y'all for wanting to get to know me.
Yes. So we got to do our first favorite question. First things first. Do you use cannabis, and why do you or why not?
Yes, I do consume. My preferred route of administration is inhalation, so smoking. I also like to dabble with edible food. One of my coworkers, his name is Dex. He makes really nice platters for us to try. So, yeah, he's made pasta, salmon fillet, like cakes, and it'd be good, and it'd be having me slump. So I like to dabble with that. Um, Considering that I do make carts, I like to go out and see what those taste like on the market. So I like to do those, but not too much because the carts are very potent.
Mm.
So I don't be trying to like get a flow of using the carts because of
Like
how potent
listen
they
to
are.
anything that's like vape is like, bro, like when they make the memes about the Benjamin, like the
The
pendulum.
Benjamin, yes, I love calling them things
You're
Benjamin.
taking me out. It takes me out.
It's so smart though. It's such a smart idea. I love
Yeah.
it.
So
So
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
do consume, and the why behind it is kind of similar to Bree, how she shared before we started recording. I do have an anxious spirit sometimes, and after I have felt my feels and processed everything, I think the plant just kind of helps me allow to like elevate to that next step of accepting whatever I'm having a hard time coming to terms with. And then also, I use it for pain. Like being a part of my program, I've learned so much about the therapeutic properties of it and also about other cannabinoids and terpenes and kind of like the entourage effect that they all work together to kind of give you whatever um, affect you're desiring. So even playing around with CBD, like trying to educate my friends that like we don't have to go and get the highest potency that we see on the market. Like just play around with the other profiles as well. But when I'm on my menstrual, I like to kind of double it in with whatever over the counter pain meds. I think that I come to realize that works for my migraines, headaches. I like to try to smoke a CBD J first and then try to take a pill. So just trying to incorporate it into like the holistic side as well, while also still acknowledging that like I can't do it all by itself.
Yeah, I hear you. So it's funny. I'll always mention this in the podcast that Bree is actually the one that helped us learn about like terpenes, different types when we actually
Terpene.
ran into her. Terpenes, yes. Sorry, I always say it wrong too. Terpenes. So, so terpenes and stuff like that. Like when we first met her at the first event, we actually showed up. I think that was our first event we had ever actually shown up to. When we first met you, but she explained all the science and different terpenes and CBDs and like how the different effects actually help us. So like now that I know, it helps me a lot. Like I always try to find something with CBD, so I feel that. And then like I know with my Crohn's too, I have a lot of pain that I have to deal with. So I take meds, but I do try to smoke as well, to try to
Yeah.
alleviate and keep, because I don't want to take pills all the time, but I want something that keeps me natural and alleviate
Yeah.
more stress over time and help me with, with my pain factor. So it's multiple use, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, there are literally over 305 plus cannabinoids, but the focus and the talk of the town is always THC and CBD. But there are cannabinoids that are antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal. Um, for my capstone in my program, I wanted to study the therapeutic effects of cannabidiol, which is CBD, on patients who have dental anxiety when it comes to accepting treatment. Like, just imagine if somebody were to take a tincture like on the week of their appointment and they're having whatever type of anxiety, like to just kind of alleviate that, to just be able to accept whatever it is that they have to get done and understand that it's for the benefit of themselves. So, um, as a member in this cannabis community, I definitely do want people to have that education. It doesn't have to be extensive as a master's degree, but having that knowledge to either choose to consume or not to consume is important, I think.
I got you. Well,
Very true.
Sounds like you got a unique background, and it sounds like it's really inspiring to you. Um, it's one sec, y'all. Alexa, stop. Sorry,
That
she does this.
is so invasive. Technology is crazy.
I
Like,
know, bro. She does it at like I think it's like what is it, 8 o'clock or 7:30? She does it at 7:30 every day. So I'm gonna clap real quick. Find out where to break. Okay. So yeah, sounds like you have a unique experience and a very like well-informed experience around, cannabis. So you are a dancer. All right. So we're gonna talk about that more here in a little bit. But how do you kind of blend the two of being this, well-knowledge cannabis student while also dancing?
Um, I like to joke and say that I'm like the jack of all trades, but I do understand that I can do anything, but I can't do everything at one time. And I've learned how to prioritize, or I'm learning how to prioritize. For instance, when I was the program that I was in, it was a 2-year program. It was virtually, but I realized that I was stretching myself too thin. I was trying to pursue dance professionally, while coaching and all while in school. So I was humbled. And even in undergrad, I've always felt that inner fire just prove them wrong, because they try to just put us in a box or just tell you to go to college and do this one thing and do it for the rest of your life. And I've always had a difficult time just trying to fit that mold of picking one thing to do. Like, I found it very difficult that I grew up in a performing arts middle school, and I went to a Catholic college preparatory high school. I tell people that it feels like a high school musical kind of vibe. So I say that to say, like, I was cultivated in so much as a child, and then y'all are telling me that as an adult I have to just pick one thing. Like, what? Like, I was at dance class, I was at volleyball practice, I went to college for a volleyball scholarship. So it's just like I did so much as a child, and as an adult, it does hurt my soul a little bit, especially living in this current climate that we live in, where it's all about the dollar signs. I'm a very passionate person, so I follow my passions, to answer your question, and I seek God, because I do believe that He wouldn't have planted that seed in me if it wasn't attainable. granted, it might not be when I want it to be, but just I have faith in my vision, and I know that it's on God's timing, not my timing, when it's going to happen. But just knowing that it's in me is enough for me to continue to just keep on planting seeds.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. And that's all we can do is just keep trying and doing what we can. So like, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Uh, let me ask this. So you earned your master's, like you said, a 2-year program
Yes.
in medical cannabis science and therapeutics. And
Yes.
it's from the University of Maryland. So what inspired you to really just kind of go for it and just actually go for the degree itself?
So originally I wanted to be a dentist. So I had my bachelor's in biology with a double concentration in chemistry and sociology. So I was studying to become a dentist. I took the dental admissions test. I did pretty well too. Like I really locked in. Shout out to all the doctors and medical professionals because like that route is extensive and it's a lot and it's a big commitment that COVID happened amidst me trying to pursue that. And I'm grateful that it did because that's kind of how I came into this program. My good friend Dominique, the young lady the young lady that I was telling you guys about with the podcast, she was a part of the first class, and I went to high school with her. So she had posted her graduation pictures, and I was just like in awe that this is a legitimate program, accredited program in the state of Maryland. It's virtual, so even if you're not in the state of Maryland, you can still apply for it. So just like seeing that shift, like I already had a pretty solid background in the STEM field, like the traditional STEM field. So just seeing what it could possibly be like from the like holistic side of things was really cool. And that's ultimately what prompted me to pursue it, because if I could combine what I know with a passion, like a deep passion of mine, absolutely sign me right up.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the more that I talk to people, and the more that we do the show and stuff like that, like learning some more stuff. Like now, I feel like I should just go back at the school just to learn about all this stuff because it's so much information, and there's so many different directions you can take it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's dope. It's dope. I'm glad that we're having these programs. I'm glad that we're expanding on them. What were some of the big eye-opening things that you've seen and kind of changed your perspective of like when you were actually in the program and when you were actually doing the studies to learn?
I think a lot of things, but two things that I can think off the top of my head is the fact that our bodies naturally have receptors for cannabis. Like it is not something like, you know how like people can choose like not to drink, and it's just like cool, like that's your preference. Even if it is your preference not to consume and you were to consume, biologically your body has what it needs to for it to receive it. Now what kind of experience you're going to have, again, that's when like the entourage effect plays in and all of those things. But just knowing that biologically there is a process that happens when you consume, however you choose to consume, because it's a different process for each route of administration. So I fell in awe with that. And also alongside that, I took a course where we basically had to make mock patient studies or case studies about specific chronic diseases and how cannabis would eventually either be effective or non-effective for that specific disease. And just to name some of them: cancer, chronic pain, just all of the generic conditions. And it was just cool to actually find the research and determine whether or not if this was beneficial or not. For instance, anxiety being one. A sativa probably isn't the best strain to smoke if you're trying to combat anxiety, because it's like a head high. So like your thoughts are just going to be racing. Like, so it's just like, if you're choosing to consume to kind of assist you in that department, let's target a different cultivar so that way you can get what you want, but also the body can do what it's supposed to do and what you want it to do. So
Yeah, I see. I'm a sativa guy. Like I love smoking you sativa. So I feel that like if you, it's like coffee. It gets you going.
I don't hate sativa, but there's just I know certain sativa strains that I,
Uh,
can mesh well with, we'll say that I can rely on if I'm going to go that route. But it's
mhm.
like within very specific circumstances that I'm going to do that. You know what I
I
mean?
feel
Like,
like a lot of people start there though. Like I know if
no,
you're
for
smoking.
sure. I definitely was starting with like Blue Dreams and things of that
that's
nature.
one of my faves. Like,
Hmm.
literally, that
Yeah,
is one of
hey,
my faves. I am like a
pristine,
fairy on that one.
Yeah,
pristine.
it's a really
Pristine.
nice one. Also, Super Lemon Haze is one of my favorite sativa strains as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I've never heard of that. See, this seems what I'm saying. Like, this is new. I've never heard of Super Lumen Haze. That's new to me. I'm gonna have to try
Really?
that one. Yeah, bro. I ain't never heard of that one. All right. If I,
Okay.
or if somebody hasn't diagnosed, because nowadays your homie diagnosed what it is. Like, so for me, I may have smoked it, but didn't know if I smoked it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
possible. It's very lemony.
It, oh, that sounds good. It just sounds good. I like anything
Yes.
citrus anyway. Citrus is dope. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this: after graduating,
Hmm.
after you did the program and went through everything, you became a cultivation associate. Is that, and that's what I'm reading here,
Yes.
in a lab tech. So
Yes.
how did that go? How did that transition like actually switch, or how did that process go?
So after, and honestly, like the last couple of months of my program, I was trying to find jobs as a lab tech, a cannabis laboratory technician, and
Hmm.
I was getting turned down like a lot. Like everybody was just saying I lacked the experience. So I kind of got deterred a little bit. I have a background as a tutor, so I was like full-time tutoring at the time, and it was just kind of like I'm either going to take this leap of faith and just keep on applying for jobs, or just stay a tutor, which was also kind of like an interest of conflict, as you guys can imagine, like me wanting to pursue a cannabis career while tutoring children. So I just felt like I was like having to like pick. So I ended up picking my friend Dominique. She was the cannabis supervisor at the time. No, the cultivation supervisor, one of the cultivation supervisors at the time. And they were hiring. So I went to a job fair, which was really fun. I feel like I've only attended mock job fairs. So it was cool to like actually like go and just have my resume on hand and just see all the
Hmm.
other people who were also trying to do the same job that I am. I actually went to the wrong address, but I still made it on time. So shout out to God. But yeah, so I went, I had a good interview, and then I started off cultivating, which I think is a cool way to segue into the industry, especially because I just had the opportunity to get to see the plant in all of its cycles, and also like the magnitude of what I was a part of. Like the rooms had so many plants, like at least 40 tables of plants. So it's just like cultivating to that extent. Like I'm not just in my garden with my watermelon and my tomatoes. Like no,
Hmm.
this is like going out to the state of
So
Maryland.
did you have a specific job, or did you just like actually cultivate a section of it on
So
your own?
they rotated us
Hmm.
daily. So on some days I would be in veg. So and then on some days you would be in the mother room. And then on some days you would be defoling. On some days you would harvest. Some days you would spread. So that's what I also liked about the job, because um I don't mind routine, but I don't want to keep doing the same thing again and
Like
again.
over and over and over again. Yeah. Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I knew growing up, I probably wouldn't do best like with like a cubicle job. Like, do not put me at a desk. So I did enjoy the fact that I could do something and learn and get better at it each time. Like I found a hermaphrodite in the gym, in the grow one time, and
Oh
just
wow.
yeah. And so like I didn't understand like how much of a save the day moment it was, but if that plant had like pollinated, all those plants in the grow would have been no good because yeah, we
Yeah.
smoked the female
So
plants
so
and
wait,
not
wait,
the
wait.
males.
See, I just learned something new. Wait a second. Wait,
Yeah.
stop.
Yes. Yes.
So if a hermaphrodite gets in the grow, it can
Yes.
ruin the entire grow.
Yes. So the plant that gets like cultivated and cured
Mhm,
and that has all the good stuff is the
mhm.
female plant.
Right.
So in the room, they're all female plants. And if the hermaphrodites, like they can pollinate because of like the fans, the wind, and it doesn't take much to cross contaminate or cross germinate in this case with the female and male plant. So like that one hermaphrodite can literally I wish I had the stat on me right now, but basically one hermaphrodite can pollinate a whole room because it's just that potent. Like they're all full
That's
of
crazy.
their
Yeah.
female hormones, and just a little bit of something from them can just really can just cancel out all of that grow. I mean, they're not
That's
technically, but for the
mhm.
sake of what they're trying to achieve, of trying to
Yeah.
sell sellable flour with
So
good
that specific amount,
profiles.
basically.
Yeah. So
I got you. I got you.
at that
Man,
point,
that's
it's kind of like true nature. Like whatever you get is going to be whatever type of pollination crossover you got, and it's not really so much that the human can do.
I didn't even know it's possible that you can have weed be a hermaphrodite. So I just think it's cool.
Yeah,
I think it's dope.
so that's also like where the lights come into play as well. Like the light cycle sometimes that's essentially is what is starting to turn the plants into the female plant. So sometimes it's not getting enough light or too much light.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't know what it wants to do, so it does both.
It does what it wants. It's like I got
Science,
this. Cool.
science,
I'm good. So there was a term that I see here. It's called crafting cannibal. Cannibal. I can't say the word.
cannabinoids.
Crafting. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That word.
Uh-huh.
That word.
Crafting cannabinoids.
What does that really mean for the adult market, and like what does that actually mean like when you're back cultivating and growing like for an actual producing market?
Crafting cannabinoids. I'm not too. I don't know, honestly. Crafting cannabinoids. So when I hear that, I think about maybe like picking and choosing which kind of profiles you want, like
Hmm.
specifically catering. Like for instance, I know or I have noticed that the grows are typically producing indica flowers because the sativa cycle is a little bit longer than an indica cycle. So to
Hmm.
me, I would call that crafting cannabinoids because it's like you're only catering or targeting certain profiles that either the industry likes, is beneficial to your grow, whatever the case may be, whatever your preference is, whatever you want to craft or cook up. I think that's what comes to my mind when I hear the term crafting
So
cannabinoids.
essentially, it's like if you wanted to push a certain strain in a certain market, you would grow it and kind of time it out for that market, if that makes sense.
I
Or
think,
if it's
yeah, and also just like catering to whatever market you're in.
hmm.
I think, I think.
Okay, I got you. Like I said, it's new terms for me, so these are things that I'm seeing new too. And like
But
I
it
said, I
could
can't.
also mean that maybe people are trying to play around with mixing and matching actual cannabinoids, like breaking
Hmm.
certain ones down and seeing what kind of combination you can get. I'm not too certain, but it does sound interesting, crafting cannabinoids.
That does sound pretty cool. It does. So
Yeah.
you've worked with besides crafting and using that term, but you've worked with hydrocarbon and ethanol extraction. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. So if you can like explain that to me or just explain
Yeah.
it to everybody, because
So
I have no clue what that does. I have no clue.
of course, I always joke when I tell people about what I do, and say that like I'm on a TED Talk, but I'm on a podcast, so I can actually like explain what I'm doing, or what I do.
Mhm.
So basically, we start off with flowers, and
Yeah.
then we extract the flower, and so you can extract it through a whole bunch of different methods. And the method that we're currently using is with ethanol. So how I explain it, it's kind of like making a cake in a way. It's kind of like making a cake and then separating the cake. So because you're
Okay.
going from like a flour, and then we're trying to create it into like a more aqueous kind of solution to pull out those cannabinoids.
Okay, so like one large like dense block, if that's what you're saying.
It's multiple dense blocks. Like
Okay.
it's a few blocks. I would say, to give you like perspective, it would be on average about like 40,000 grams a day in like one batch.
Wow. Wow. That's so much.
Yeah.
That's so
Now,
much.
granted, you don't yield all of that, but that's just like
Hmm.
what your starting mass is. And about like maybe we're shooting between, you want to at least like 8 to 12% yield from all of
Right.
that
So it's
mass.
kind of like if I'm thinking in like a business sense, it's like this is my supply that I need to make sure I can get what I want out of everything.
Yeah, and then also like with any other plant, it varies from cultivars. Like there's no one cultivar is the same, and that's what kind of makes it difficult when it comes time to recommend a certain cultivar, because because the way that it was grown one time, it's no guarantee that it was grown the same way. And even if it was grown the same way, there's no guarantee that like the plant is going to be the same each and every
Hmm.
time that you acquire it. So, but yeah, so we started off with the flour, and then we create a mix, like an aqueous kind of mix. And then we basically pull off um, the pigment and all of the other terpenes until we get the cannabinoids. And it's like
Hmm.
about a 4 or 5 step process. But essentially, we start off with the flour. We are turning it into like an aqueous kind of solution. And then we're just pulling out piece by piece, distilling until we get cannabinoids.
Can you just define that word you keep saying, aqueous?
Aqueous, of course. So aqueous it's kind of like a liquid.
Okay,
And what that means is like I didn't want to say a liquid because sometimes it can be really thick.
sure.
Oh, okay, okay.
So typically when I say a liquid, like we think of a water or something that is like flowing,
Yes.
but crude is technically what it's called. Crude is sticky, it's tacky, like it gets on
Hmm.
the skin, and the only thing that dissolves it is ethanol. So it's like it's tack, 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 tack. But it
Like
also
the
flows.
deepest of the dank.
Yeah,
The deepest
like
of the dank, bro.
in the grow when I would be defoliant, I would have all of the trichomes like just like around my wrist because they're just so sticky. Cannabis
Yes.
is so sticky.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so aqueous is a a liquid base, but it can also have like some density to her. So that's what aqueous means.
I love that. Thank you for
Thank you
defining
for
that.
that question.
It was fantastic. So what's some of the misconceptions? Because it seems like there's some precautions you have to take to make sure you're growing the right things and it's growing the right way. But
Yeah.
there's also some miscommon like mistakes or things that people think that you know that could be dictating what they think about it.
I think that, and are you referring to just as a whole or just
Yeah,
like,
just as a whole. Yeah, just as a whole. Yeah.
I definitely think that one misconception when it comes to cannabis is just the stigma associated with it. The lack of, I guess, wanting to know more about it and what it does and what it doesn't do. And I think that being in the position that I'm in, having that science background and also being able to explain it in layman's terms, I just feel like it's a vessel for me to kind of bridge that gap and allow people, empower people to have the information that they need unbiasedly to make a decision or not to consume. Like, my agenda is not to try to change people's minds. I just want people to be informed about what is available out there and just be able to make a decision based off of facts and not so much what we've been told to believe, or just, just the stigma.
Yeah, I hear
Definitely.
you. I hear you. Cool.
Okay, wonderful. We're about to move on to the next section. We're going to talk about the cannabis babe.
Yeah.
The
Here.
cannabis babe, get it? The cannabis babe.
Yay.
And cannabis advocacy. So through the cannabis babe, you focus on education and advocacy and reform.
Yes.
What's your mission with this platform?
My overall mission is kind of what I just ended with, just sharing what I know and allowing people to ask the questions that they need to ask. And because I don't know it all, and I don't want it to appear that I know every law and legislation and policy and all the science behind it, because that's not the goal either. The goal is to open myself up and experience things like this and opportunities such as this to get to know other people outside of Maryland, outside of the United States, who have their own experience with cannabis, because I know that I'm only but one part of the whole body. So just continuing to be a student always and sharing what I know. I know that as a full-time employee, it does get hard to be the cannabis babe, but
Mm-hmm.
I ultimately chose that name because I think that everybody's a babe, and you don't have to consume cannabis to be a cannabis babe. Um, cannabis is a part of who I am, regardless of the times that I haven't consumed, because I haven't always consumed cannabis. So it's just I've always had a passion for the plant. And even if I wasn't under the consumption of it, it was going to come up in conversation anyway. So
Yeah.
I just feel like the cannabis babe was just on point. And
Love that.
outside of just advocating, I enjoy talking to people. I'm a very empathetic person. So I'm big on feels, I'm big on vibes, I'm big on energy. So it's just I had this gift of
If the vibe is not right, we don't partake.
Very good.
vibe checks are real. So I
Mhm.
have this gift of gab, and I feel like I have this calling to just help break the stigma when it comes to this plant. So the cannabis babe just merges who I am and who I want to be while helping out my community.
I love that so much. And I commend you for what you do, because a lot of people, would never, you know what I mean? Just because of the stigma and everything. It's, you got to be brave to be able to come out and be an advocate for
Yeah.
cannabis.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that until recently. I got a DM and it asked me if I go to church high. And I was so baffled because, again, the cannabis wave is about educating. It's about breaking the stigma. It's about unlearning some things to have the opportunity to know what really happened.
Yeah.
So at no point did it give that. And I was just,
Yeah.
there must have been a disconnect. But like, again, like the Cannabis Babe is Monet, but like, not private matters, girly, please.
Okay, that's so, I feel like that's kind of intrusive to ask, but.
And she didn't know me. And
Sounds
again, no shade to anybody who does, but that's just not me. And nor is that why I consume, kind of how we talked about earlier. I'm big on
Mm-hmm.
intention. Like, like, now do I have conversations? But again, it's none of your concern. But
I think a lot of it is a spiritual journey. A lot of like some people who smoke, there are some people that really on a spiritual journey to be more connected to
Yeah,
what it does for them. You see what I'm saying? And I think
exactly.
that's an experience that needs to be had for a lot of people. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yes, that, and then that openness, like, just going back to the question from earlier, why do I consume? A part of that is to like just be open, like just to completely just take away ego, take away pride, and just be able to sit with what's going on for real, for real. So, but yeah, I do think that it is a very vulnerable thing to do. I didn't think that would be like, effect of that, but yeah.
No, for sure. I appreciate that, you sharing all of that. A lot of people are still hesitant about cannabis, obviously. How do you approach educating non-users and breaking the stigma?
So literally no shade to my mom or like her generation, but they are my bread and butter. Like I look forward to just making them uncomfortable. Like, because ultimately, if you're not uncomfortable, then you're not going to grow. And that's not just
That's
like with cannabis, that's just like with anything. So,
true.
um, I just continue to put myself, like, this sounds so crazy to
No,
say.
no, I
But
said the same
No,
thing.
no, yeah, yeah, no, no, no. We feel this.
I'm waiting for you to
It's
say it because I'm like, yes.
I just
mhm.
Confirming things for
put
we
me.
myself
all we all we're both waiting for it. Wait
in
for it.
positions. I keep taking them to the chin and I braid myself up. I put my big girl panties on and I say what I need to say and also
Mhm.
show the facts on why I'm saying what I feel like I need to say, because it's never what you say, it's always how you say it. So I think that just continuing to be humbled in what I'm continuing to learn and shared in a manner that is receptive, then I'm just going to keep doing my part. That's all I can do is just keep sharing what I know. And if it resonates, it resonates. But on a lighter note, my mom's fiance, he's a non-user. And for a while, he was like, I don't want to say an anti-stigma. Well, y'all know what I'm trying to say. But he just had his view on cannabis. And after being in the program and having multiple conversations with him, he's actually started to send me like tiny tidbits. Like if he'll see a CBD something, like he'll share that with me and be like, wow, like this is a great idea. So it's just like even small things like that, like just the
The
mini
respect. He ended up respecting it because it was something
conversations.
that was a part of what you do and your experience of what's going on with you. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, that like that is the common ground we all wish to get to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because again, my goal is never to get people to consume. Like, by all means, free will, do what you want. I just want people to base their decisions on facts and reason and not some just say no campaign they heard from the 1960s and have been running around rampant with it since then.
Mhm.
There's been growing studies, but there's been enough for people's perspective to at least respect and acknowledge the plant for what it is. Even I try to tell my friends to stop calling it marijuana because even that is based in the stigma. There was a tax
Yeah.
act of 1938. Don't quote me on that, but the Marijuana Tax Act basically was called that because they assumed that cannabis was being brought to the States from the Mexican border. So they started imposing and taxing it and called it the Marijuana Tax Act to be rude and to not
Yeah,
be.
we went over some of the history at the Cannabis Museum, and actually, what you're talking about, there's a piece there that
Oh,
talks
wow, like
about
the
the
actual tax.
naming. Yeah, so there's a piece that they have there's an article there that talks about how they were looking to name and frame it to a different way because they wanted to create a stigma behind it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it's just like here we are at our big ages in 2025. We're not going to call it marijuana. We're going to call it cannabis because it's a plant. Like we call a rose a rose. We call
Yeah.
lavender lavender. We call a pepper pepper. Why can't we call cannabis the plant name like we do for every other plant? Because of
Hmm.
what's been told and what's the stigma.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed. And I also just wanted to add, just quickly, that you said, did you say it was your father or your, who was it?
Oh, my mom's fiance.
Your mom's fiance. Yeah, so like you being like who you are and being the cannabis babe was like planting the seed for him.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't have to like completely convert someone into like a plant person. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You don't go that. You ain't
Sometimes
go all the way.
Yeah.
it's just that little seed, you know what I mean, that opens them
Yeah.
up. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's,
Exactly.
and
Oh
that's so beautiful. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
I love
dope.
Okay, sorry.
it.
Say that. Okay, so what is one of the biggest issues in cannabis reform today that you think needs more attention?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with education, but education on the levels in which education on the levels that are like able to make things happen. For like what I'm trying to say is I think that the legislators or the powers that be, for lack of better terms, are not properly informed on what this plant is and what it does and what it cannot do. And as long as the powers that be, are not aware, then I think it's going to be kind of like an instance where you can take the horse to the well, but you can't make it drink the water type situation.
Hmm.
There's a disconnect.
Exactly, because everybody likes to say that like communication is key, but also comprehension is key as well. So I think that as long as there's not a connect between that part, like the people who can actually make the change versus like the people who are trying to advocate for it, until we all come to just some kind of understanding, I think we're going to be in this kind of take two steps forward, take one step back type of tango
Yeah.
with reform. But I mean, they say Rome wasn't built in a day. So, and hopefully I am faithful and hopeful that all of the work that we're doing one day will create the proper legislation that the plant needs and deserves. So it would be nice to see it within our lifetime, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Who
Hope so.
knows at this point? Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I just have to go there. Just I hope something happens. So
Yeah, and then I mean, I think that as long as we keep on continuing to do our part, the all it takes is one yes or one ear for us to hear, for them to hear, and hopefully be encouraged to want to take
just
action.
don't give up. Yeah, just don't give up. If it's something that's that important and it needs to be known, and if it can help and change something, just be adamant about it. You
I
got to
think
speak up.
um I think we definitely need to continue trying to educate our like government about it. But
Hmm.
I think that a lot of it is that they're literally not, they don't care to hear. You know what I mean? At
Mhm.
least that's what it kind of seems like. Like it just goes in one ear and out the other.
You're not the other. Yeah.
But I think what it really is going to come down to is just people like us are going to have to, get into politics, get into
Public
government.
pressure.
Yeah.
Public pressure. Yeah,
And
and that's what happens. Yeah. Public pressure.
yeah, that's really how the change is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. You've been recognized as Employee of the Month.
Oh
Oh man.
yeah.
Oh
What do
man.
you think makes a great cannabis industry professional?
Um, Definitely remaining open, um, remaining humble, not thinking that you're not too good to do something. Because I started in the garden and I loved it. Like I loved it in the sense that I was very connected with, I was grounded constantly. Like I'm having a bad day, I can put on my sunglasses and cry and nobody will bother me. I'll put my headphones on. Like I just had time to touch plants.
That's
a
so
whole,
It
beautiful.
just
a whole
make your soul feel good, make your soul feel
Yes.
better because you just touching and you playing with the plants. Oh,
And honestly,
that's so
and not
wonderful.
to be TMI, but like when I was cultivating, my menstrual
Mm,
was so consistent because I was like in the
Wow.
incubator, like the heat, like I was just really aligned in that time of my life. So just being able to appreciate where you're at as well, because I know that there was a time in which we've all wanted something, and once we gotten it, we just kind of like grew tired of it or got, complacent with it. So just also reminding myself that I'm walking in a blessing that I
Yeah.
wanted to be in, kind of changed my perspective and just, yeah, just being grateful, honestly.
Yes.
I think that that's a good characteristic to have, just period. I obviously work with a lot of people, and outside of the plants, I'm noticing that people have feelings. Like
Yeah.
plants like help you heal, but it comes a point where it's like, yeah, that person talks down a lot, like just negative a lot. So just trying to remain grounded and aligned is a good characteristic to have.
yeah, we got our little plant, like little area, and that's the first thing I like to do. I look over there every day and just be like, man, I just vibe out with the plants for a little
Oh,
bit. I do, I
I
do.
love that.
Touch some chlorophyll, touch it.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay, I love that so much. And I also just have to say, I think it's really cool that you started in a grow, because I feel like that's
Yeah,
so foundational
hmm
for just like everything else. So I think
hmm
that's really awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
especially because like I had that science aspect of it, and because obviously cannabis is federally illegal, throughout my time in school, they just emphasized so much how they're not teaching us how to grow. And they didn't. We learned about the science part of it and like the process of it. But so to just see actually how to grow it, it just like gave me like the other piece of the puzzle that I needed to kind of get a better understanding.
brings it full circle.
And yeah, like it was
Yeah.
really dope to just dive in on all things cultivating cannabis. It was pretty cool.
Man, I wish, like I said, I'd be in there no good. I'd be like, this is beautiful. I'd cry every day talking to plants.
no, for real, because they're
For real.
it really is amazing to see. I've toured a couple grows, and
Yes,
it's
yes.
so fun to
And
see.
it smells amazing. Like it
Mhm.
smells like
Yes.
the grow flower smells so
Hmm.
different than like even like canned or smoked. Like it just smells so good all the time.
Delicious.
Yeah. Just
Or
have one over here in the corner, like, Letitia, I love you. Rwanda, come here, girl.
Literally.
I like hugging on the
Literally.
plants. That would be me.
No, dead ass. That would be me too.
Mhm.
You asked your followers, even if you don't consume, are you still interested in being educated about the plant? What kind of responses do you usually get?
For the most part, I get uh, little bit more than half who want to know, and then the others be like, no. But I don't be knowing if they're hating or not. So,
They're definitely hating. It's
you know,
Hating is content, bro. Those are influencers. Those are motivators. That's all that
true.
is. That's all
but
that is.
yeah, for the most part, though, I do get people who are interested and have genuine questions. Like,
Hmm.
so I think that is always a good thing. I'm a firm believer that if it was meant to be, then it will be. So if it resonates with somebody, then it was supposed to, and they needed that, or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. So I
Yeah.
try not to allow the naysayers to deter me from still spreading the good word.
Good. It's always important to like stay positive, especially if you're, a figure of some sort. Definitely, because you're going to get all types of feedback.
Oh yeah.
Um, all
For
types of
sure.
unsolicited
All
feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The critique's unreal. Unreal.
If someone is curious about cannabis but afraid to try it, what's your advice to them?
I would try to figure out why they're afraid. If they're worried about what kind of reaction they'll have, then maybe we could find a specific route that will kind of limit or like delay the onset so that by the time it does hit, it's not like a powerful hit, like a potent um high type of situation. So I guess just trying to understand why they're afraid, and if we can try to find a solution to it.
Yeah, start at the root of the problem for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely. Okay, wonderful. So now we're actually going to like switch gears a little bit
Okay.
and do our little section. So this is my portion, so are you going to clap first or you want me to start
No,
first?
I want you to start. I'm just waiting for the bowl.
Okay.
I'm ready for the bowl. Ah, there it
Nice.
is. There it is.
All right. We're at the Hempress house. Everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to take a moment to be mindful and reflect on our connections with cannabis. So, Miss Monet, I just have a couple questions. No pressure. Feel free to take a deep breath.
Okay.
Love that.
Love it.
Okay, awesome. So, my first question is you've already touched on it. Obviously, we've been talking about cannabis for the last hour, but if you could describe your personal connection with cannabis, some people are strictly like recreational with cannabis. Some people describe cannabis as like a medicinal, tool for them. Some people do have a spiritual connection with cannabis. How would you describe your connection?
Um, okay, I would say my connection with cannabis is authentic in the way that I'm the same with or without the plant. I think that the plant assists in certain areas where I have some tension, or, and by tension, I mean like spiritual tension or mental tension.
Hmm.
Um, I also use it as a vessel to create. I think that as a dancer or an artist, it's hard to really tap inward when we live in a world that is like hustle culture. So, in that way, I can go to my safe haven and just release through movement. And in a way that is elevated under whatever consumption that I have chosen to take. But yeah, so authentic and a vessel to just inwardness, like to just really seek inward.
Yes. I love that. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Um, and then my last question is just if you could imagine
Nope.
that cannabis is it's a physical expression of Mother Nature and, you know, the divine feminine energy that connects us all together. And if you could just imagine that cannabis had a specific message for us, whether that was for your specific audience or just, you know, the world, what do you think that message is tapping in?
I believe that the message is I see you, I hear you, and you're valid.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Short, sweet,
Thank
to the punch.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Short,
Gratitude
sweet.
for that.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I had these thoughts under the influence, I guess, for lack of better terms, and I think it's just it's really like inwardness. It's like your own world, your own universe, and I think that it when you don't know how to be alone or sit with yourself, sometimes that can be why people don't like to be high because you be chilling when you're high. Like,
You
or
feel less connected to the world, like, in the same sense, you are more connected to the world because spiritually there's a lot of things
yeah,
going on
yeah.
inside versus you being there in the physical presence, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, exactly. So I think if I try to just embrace as much of all of us because all of us are connected, but also myself. And I think that being sometimes with the help of cannabis, it just changes my perspective on what's going on in a good way sometimes. Most times.
Okay. All right, so we're done with Bree's skit. All right, now it's time for my skit. All right,
Okay.
as you can see behind me, there is a wall of superhero characters. I am a nerd.
Yeah, I see.
I'm the nerdy one. So you already kind of obviously know what my question is probably going to be.
I can figure
Who
it
who's
out.
your favorite? Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh wow.
If you can't figure out the top, you can do like a top five if there's multiple.
So I'm over here struggling because my girlfriend, like, she loves Spider-Man. Like, she's a
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man lover faithfully. And I don't want to say
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man just because it's hers, but that's all I see.
Is
I
Spider
like
Man?
Groot. Is he a superhero? I like
Yes, Groot.
Groot.
Hey, no, Groot is a superhero. I love
Groot
Groot
is the
too.
cutest.
Groot,
I love
he's
Groot.
absolutely adorable. His comic books are actually like they get real dramatic, but
He
like
has his
he's
own storyline.
yeah, he's got his own storyline. So Groot has a couple like one-offs where it's just him and Rocket Raccoon. They actually have their own like little series that they go through.
Oh
Hmm.
wow. I
Yeah,
Never
but
knew.
yeah, super dramatic, but they're always joking, and that's the thing. Like that humor and the funny thing that you see in the movie, they are literally like that in the comic books. Like
Oh
they are
wow.
always literally adorable, especially when he actually has to regrow and he's baby Groot. That's like my favorite like span of him in the comic books.
Oh
It's cute.
my.
It's
Yeah, I
cute.
had no idea that he had his own. I'm definitely going with Groot now for sure.
Cool. So it sounds like y'all Marvel fans. I'm a DC fan, so I kind of gotta. I'm waiting for my movies and everything to get better at some point. I'm hoping. I'm praying. I'm praying. But sounds like y'all Marvel household, so that answers my second question. And all right, so if you had to pick one superhero, if you were in a situation that say if they were the only hope that you have, who would be the superhero that you would pick? Would it be Spider Man?
No, to save me?
Save me. Who would it be?
Hmm. I feel like maybe the Hulk. or Iron Man.
Iron Man, somebody who's got some firepower or like
Maybe
some.
even that tiny one, the bee one, who like shrinks himself. Like just shrink us out of trouble.
Ant-Man.
Oh yeah,
Ant-Man. Yeah,
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. Hey,
Oh,
bro. I give him his respects. He's dope. He's dope.
okay.
Did you?
Final answer. I'm gonna say final answer. Yeah, Ant-Man.
You
Yeah,
going Ant-Man?
just
I think it's a good choice because if somebody can grab me and shrink me and let me run out the room while everything else is blowing up,
maybe we can
I'm
just
cool with that
hide.
too.
Yeah, just get me out and hide, and then they'll never find us. Like we can just hide.
You can just hide in a pole or hide somewhere in a box.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like
I
that's as
feel
close
it.
as I'm gonna get to invisible. Is there somebody who makes you invisible?
There's superheroes that have invisible powers, like with like bubbles and stuff. But like, as far as making you invisible, no,
Yeah.
no.
Then I'm calling Ant-Man.
You going, hey man? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I rock that. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that because that's not an answer that is not going to be normally said. So like that's actually
Definitely.
that's actually a good that's a good
Ant-Man. I didn't
sign.
even know that was
Ant
a real.
Man, bro,
Yeah.
the real superhero, man. I know in the Marvel he's a little more controversial, like in controversial. Sorry, I can't speak today. I we talked about that earlier. But he's more controversial in the comic books because it's two separate people, and then there's people who take over in the mantle. But the first one is kind of not the greatest person, human being. The one that we have on screen though is the favorite one, like Scott Lang, the one that you're seeing in the movies and
Uh-huh.
stuff. He's the favorite kind of Ant-Man that everybody likes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the Ant-Man that I would think to call him.
yeah, yeah. I love Paul Rudd, bro.
That's
He's
the
like one of my
second
favorite
one?
actors. Hmm.
So that's the second one?
Yes. So actually, there's like four of them. One, Cassie Lang, which is Scott's daughter, she's going to take over. Which I think you've seen that actually. If you've seen the last movie in Quantum Mania, she has a suit and
Yeah.
everything. So that's his daughter, Scott Lang, Hank
Oh.
Pym, Hank Pym. Everybody who's on the team essentially it has been Ant-Man at one time. So Hank Pym, Scott Lang, Cassie Lang, and then there's another one, but I can't remember his name, but he's just kind of like a one-off off shot. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, no. I'm
Hmm.
gonna have to go back and watch it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Check it
I
out. Check it out. Check it out.
Marvel movies though, like I have it on my to-do list to like watch all of them. Like I just love the production.
They're fantastic. Like they do a really good job.
Yeah.
I went and seen Captain America, the one that just dropped, and that was like one of my favorite movies so far. So I think it's
Mhm.
pretty good. I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I go to sleep typically throughout movies, but those keep me up and I be alert.
You be glued, ready to go. Ready to go. All right, so I'm
I'm
gonna jump
like
back
so
in.
not a superhero person, so this is like just not my.
Are you not a superhero person at all, Brie?
Not at all, really. No,
Really?
no.
You like not even a hint at all?
I mean, like, there's a couple superhero
I'm
movies that
so
I
sorry.
like, but I'm just like,
Also,
not my thing.
hold on, wait, 1 second.
Okay. All right. That was the
Okay,
segment. That was
fantastic.
good. That were good. That were good.
Yes.
You guys
All
got
right.
to superhero out for a second, nerd out on
I
super.
don't get it. It's actually funny. So when I asked the question, like I think like the last two times has been the first two times somebody has actually said something when I asked the question. Like, so yeah, like I've actually had somebody like break down and talk about it. So
Yeah, y'all. Yeah, for sure.
I get
Y'all had
excited.
a good little combo just now. I had to step aside for sure on that because I'm like, I have no idea where we're at.
I'm proud of myself, period.
Got you. We are now on the section of balancing cannabis, dance, and personal growth. So
Oh,
we're gonna talk about the dance. Basically, is what we talking about.
cool.
Yes.
Um,
So, are you asking these?
did you want to ask these?
Uh, I thought I was, but you can go ahead if you want. We can switch.
You go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, no, you're good. I got next one. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So outside of cannabis, you're a professional dancer. Um, how do you balance life in the science lab and on the stage?
So luckily my schedule, I'm an early starter, so I have the evening, afternoon time available. So it allows me to still train and also do what I need to do, which is work. But also like I just finished a production that finished in March, but we started rehearsing in December. So also like picking and choosing if I want to take on productions and like trying to build my resume or train with certain choreographers. So just trying to figure out how that season flows and what opportunities are coming up and planning that as well.
Gotcha.
Wonderful. Well, that's good that it works out that way for you. Because,
Yeah.
sometimes when you end up having like a whole bunch of different things, like it gets kind of dicey with your schedule,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
things.
I definitely I get inspired by a lot of my childhood friends to one day pursue dance like full on. Especially considering that that's something that I won't be able to do like forever, like realistically.
Yeah.
So, just always, again, God's timing, not mine, and just continuing to put myself out there. So, yeah,
Well,
I'll keep y'all updated. When I'm on tour
Word.
with somebody, I'm gonna have tickets for y'all.
bet. Say
Please,
less.
please,
Me
please.
Yes, yes.
too. Do you find that cannabis plays a role in creativity, performance, or recovery as a dancer specifically?
Absolutely, 100%. I definitely do. Especially for me, as far as the creative process goes. Cannabis definitely helps me figure out what message do I want to send, what type of vibe do I want to create to, or just what does this look like, or what does that look like? It just kind of like unlocks it takes away the stage fright, I guess. When it comes time to creating, I know that as far as like in the industry, it's probably frowned upon to like smell of cannabis in that space. So
Yeah.
I don't consume before like I'm about to like perform or any of that case, but on a more like intimate, like it's just the studio session with just me for sure. It's fun.
Definitely. I can see that.
It's fun.
You completed on, or I'm sorry, you competed on the Wendy Williams show's End Zone Dance Competition. Tell us about that experience.
So
Mm.
I have a good friend, Destiny, who kind of helped me out, with the opportunity.
Don't hurt
And
yourself now. Don't hurt yourself.
um, so yeah, essentially I got to compete alongside two other dancers, and exactly what were we competing for? I don't remember, but needless to say, it was a fun experience, like to just perform on a live audience, like in front of a live audience.
Oh,
And the hair and makeup and getting mic'd up, it was cool. And then the guest host at the time was Remy Ma and Fat Joe.
wow.
So it was cool to
Ooh.
just like see them IRL and just get the whole experience, because essentially I would like to have another opportunity to that magnitude. So it was cool to just have a little taste until I can achieve it again.
Love
Hang
that.
out with Remy
We
Ma, bro.
coming.
It's the hardest of the hardest right there, dog.
Yeah, she's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. That's super dope. I love that. So what are some similarities between the cannabis industry and uh the entertainment world that people might not realize?
I would say that in essence, they both strive for you to be yourself. In a way or so, like what I mean by that is why I dance is to express myself and to resonate with others who also have the ability to express themselves in whichever medium they choose. Doesn't have to be dance, but art is art, and whatever you can feel is still valid. And I think that in the same sense that the cannabis industry essentially allows for people to be themselves. Like, I feel like you were posting about this the other day where being like in this community, like you don't really have to like hide the fact that you consume,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Whereas when I was a tutor full time, like just having that inner conflict or just like, yeah, this is just a part of me that I just really have to keep under wraps. So I think that I'm grateful to to be in spaces that I can be myself in. I think the older I think the older that I get, the more I value places and spaces that I can be my true authentic self in. And both creatively and in the cannabis industry, they both give me that platform to be myself. Like I'm a Black woman, a Black bisexual woman. So it's like I already have a few odds against me, quote unquote. So it's harder for me to just want to be vulnerable sometimes in certain spaces in this world because of just how it is. So both the dancing and the cannabis industry allows me to just be Mo. And the people who love Mo love Mo. The people who don't, it's all right. My life is still going on.
See,
The
it's
jet
nice.
still burning.
That's the thing, bro. That's like every aspect when you're in art. And like, I do film. You do dance. Emily's an influencer, so she does various multitudes of different types. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always a good connection that we find a good family and a good community in sense of that. You know what I'm saying? And they are always accepting. They're welcome to teach, stuff like that. Of course, you have a couple few bad apples or whatever, but at the end of the day, you always tend to find the people that you need to gravitate towards, and that community is always helpful. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I really like with the community that I see in Ohio is that like they're very close knit. They take care of each other. They look out for each other. So like, and then I'm starting to notice it kind of here in Kentucky. We're starting to get more of a correlation because we just got medicinal. We just got legal here.
Okay.
So we're still kind of like baby infants and everything to try to figure out what's going on here. But Ohio seems to kind of have the plan of action to start mobilizing and making sure they can hear their voice. They're getting their voices heard. So it's getting there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot quicker than where we're at. So yeah.
It's interesting to see the kind of the evolution in different states and stuff, how
Yeah.
that progress we're trying to make across the board is coming about. Okay, wonderful. That's the end of balancing dance and cannabis. Uh, you want to take this last section, Will?
Yep, I got you. So this one is faith, growth, and future plans.
Oh
Um, you
yeah.
you've spoken about your faith, your purpose, and your guide in life. How is faith a major role in your life, and how does it play a major role in your cannabis career?
So I actually rededicated my life to Christ February 20th, 2024. So it's been a year, and within but before I rededicated myself, when I came home from college, I've always been the type to just go and do stuff by myself. So I was going to church by myself, like going to college in New Orleans and just having people who was raised in the South. They just changed my perspective on how to go to church and just what that felt like for me. So when I came back home, I wanted to keep that going because I felt something, but I was just a little young buckaroo. But I knew that I felt God, I felt safe in church. So so I came home and I was taking myself to church and I was like applying the lessons and really just like hearing like the word of God for the first time because obviously I think as children we go to church or sometimes you don't. If you went to church as a child, it was kind of like because you had to or because like your parent or your mama did it, but like essentially like it just felt good to choose to do this and to be open in a way that I haven't experienced before. So yeah, I was going to church faithfully, consistently, and then I think one time the message was like, it's like people who come consistently who aren't members, like, and then how that's a part of spreading the gospel. Like, you have to grow in community. Like, you can't grow by yourself. Like, I could have kept on attending church by myself and not, like, attending events to try to build that community, but I was going to be stunting myself essentially. So I took that leap, and it's been really great to just have sisters and brothers in Christ who can help me understand, because I do have some, what is it called? What word am I looking for? We'll come back to that. But being a bisexual woman who is like a Jesus lover is another like tally mark.
Yeah, another stipulation.
What I'm trying to say. So,
Yeah, stipulation.
but I'm grateful that I have my own relationship with God, and that's for me and Him to talk about on my judgment day. So, and I know that He would not have placed anything that is not for me. Like, if it's not for me or out of alignment, it's consequences, like, so I'm thankful that I have my one-on-one with Him and have come to know Him for myself, because it does get a little tempting when the enemy is trying to tell you that he doesn't love me for X, Y, and Z. But yeah, so.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this: what's next for you then? What's the big plans? What you got plans? You got any big projects? Anything coming up at all?
I do have a few things under works. One thing though, well, hold on, wait, can we pause this for a second?
Yes, I can. Okay. So, what's your future plans? What you got going on? What's coming up for you?
Okay, future plans. So Sierra, like the singer, dancer, songwriter, performer, she is having a dance icon challenge. Yeah, I think I told you about that.
Yes.
So I was participating in that. I think today is the last day of voting. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm moving on to the semifinals round, but it was very fun to compete nationally, to even get to that level. I don't know who I'm competing against, but again, to just get to this point, to the semifinals, that was pretty fun. I just finished production at the beginning of the month. So right now I'm just kind of taking a sabbatical, resting, preparing for other opportunities, working hard. I'm on set for a promotion at work. So, just always being a student. Thank you. Thank you. Just taking it day by day, really, honestly.
Hey, as we all do, take it day by day. But that's Sierra. You got to dance with Sierra, fam.
Well, no, not yet. Well, she's having a competition to see who can be in her music video and win 20K.
Okay, so it's a competition. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Even the fact that, man, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely sick.
It's kind of tough because like the way that they set up the competition, it's like public voting all the way up until the finals. So like, and obviously you can pay for votes, but it is a recession. We are in a recession.
Right.
Yeah, people
please
hold on to that cash, fam. Hold on to the money.
They pay for votes, yeah.
Yeah. So
I actually had a friend that was also in that same competition. She got pretty decently far, but I'm not sure. She stopped talking about it, so I assume she didn't.
Yeah, the semifinals was humbling. Like the group finals, I was doing all right in. Like I was going back and forth between first and second, but the semifinals, yeah, they must have opened it up by like coast or something. I don't even know because it was hard. I think I finished in like 8th. I'll let y'all know, but that's not bad.
No, it's amazing that you even got to do that. I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
It is sick.
Yeah.
It is very sick. All right, so I'm gonna ask the last big question that we ask. What is the thing that you want to say to the people? What is the thing you wanna give out? What are the few words of advice for people who are trying to get into the industry? What do you have for them? What can you tell them?
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna close my eyes because that's just like it's so many things. Okay. What do I want to say? What is some advice? Okay, I'm gonna say this. My word of advice or my tidbit is to remain true to you, your morals. Doing the right thing is always the right thing to do, regardless of if it's the cool thing or not. Standing on who you are will allow you to take you to where you need to be. So, yeah, and be patient. Be patient. Patience for sure.
Right, patience is a virtue, bro. You got to stay patient.
Virtue. Like I remember when I first started out in this industry, I had a LinkedIn post and I just had shared how discouraged I was feeling. Like I was just like, I keep applying myself. I keep getting told no, 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 no. And literally I think like 3 months after that, that's when I became a cultivation associate. And then shortly after that, I became a cannabis technician. So it's just a chess, not checkers. That part too.
Yeah.
Chess, not checkers.
Definitely.
You gotta stay methodical. Make sure you're making logical moves, calculated
And
moves.
yes, and to never make a permanent decision off of a temporary feeling.
Mm.
That's a big one.
That's a
I say that
huge one.
on a repeat because I'm an empath, so I be feeling, I feels my feels, and I'm quick to be like,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
trying not to because again, there's
Look, we in crash out season, so like you gotta
Crash
you
out.
gotta you
It's
gotta hone
crazy.
the crash out, fam. You gotta hone the crash out. You
okay.
do, you do.
Yes,
You gotta calm down. Gotta
yes,
calm
And
down.
that's
All
it.
yes.
right. So where can we find you at? Where can we hit your links? Where can we support you at? Well, give me
At
the
the
rundown.
moment, on Instagram, it's the Cannabis Babe with 2 E's. I'm going to work with my mom for my website because I also am realizing that like the policies and all of the jargon, I just want to create a platform that I can speak freely, truly freely. So I am working on a website and I really want to have some merch for all the cannabis babes. I think that'd be like really fun too. So yeah, but on the meantime, definitely my Instagram. But when I drop
Mhm.
the website, then yeah.
On the education
We'll
side,
hit you up.
where can people go to uh get started and start to learn on the education side? Is there any links or anything that you can offer for people who are looking into studying or maybe looking at information?
I know that there is a book on Amazon that is accessible to the public and it's called Cannabis Pharmacy. It literally has strains, conditions that could potentially help or not help.
I have that book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody it is user friendly and they also provide the sites so that if you wanted to dive in deeper on a certain topic, then you can. So definitely on Amazon, Cannabis Pharmacy. And then also just like going down the rabbit hole of whatever state you're in and then just seeing what else that they have to offer and others resources as well.
Hear you. Okay. That's pretty much it. We're done. We're
Well,
at
thank you
the end.
so much.
Nice.
Thank you for doing this with us, taking time out. And
course.
I appreciate you for sharing.
Thank y'all so
Mhm.
much for having me. This was so fun. I can't
Yes,
wait
yes.
to watch it.
Yeah, I'm
It's such a
excited. I
good
cannot wait either.
episode.
Yes.
All right, guys. I'll see you.